Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Unnecessary Gentlemen, podcast where I, Snoop Lynch, and my always lovely co-host, Sean Doyle, say hey, Sean.
Hello.
There he is. Well, the two of us, we're going to talk about movies, comics, TVs, and the like, and any other kind of things that we get distracted by. So on that note, Sean, what do you want to talk about today?
You know what we have to talk about, Snoop?
I mean, I don't want to feel pressured and like I have to talk about anything, Sean, but I guess if you want to talk about something very strongly, I'm fine with that.
Wow, look at this guy just handing the floor over to me. What a gentleman.
I tried my best, buddy. So what you got?
I think there was a Black Panther trailer.
Oh, there was a Black Panther trailer. Well, first, there was a Black Panther poster that the internet was more or less not pleased about.
They're never happy.
No, they're never. And he's sitting on that vibranium throne, looking real regal and whatnot. But the internet wasn't pleased about it. They didn't want it. So we got a trailer instead. And
the internet was like, there better be a good trailer to follow this. Am I right, guys? And then it happened.
And you know what? There was a great trailer to follow it. So let's just get straight into that. Oh, you texted me the day it came out, and if I believe your words were, Wakanda looks lit.
Sun, yes.
Oh, sorry. Wakanda looks lit, son. Yeah, that's a solid trailer they pumped out.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised we got it because, I mean, we're still 8 months away from the movie, and apparently it's only been in post-production for about a month.
Yeah, they haven't been, they just wrapped up filming, at least the initial filming. I'm sure there'll be reshoots.
I think that's obvious in a few moments in the trailer that they're still working on a lot of the special effects, but hey, whatever. Looks good.
Yeah, even when we got, like, special effects-wise, it looks really good. I'm just keen to see this whole other world that's kind of just been closed off to the rest of the MCU. We got kind of that introduction to it with Black Panther's character and also his advisors and his father in Civil War. But now we're just diving straight into it. You get to see the actual nation of Wakanda, but also their technology. They got a sweet jet just flying around, taking them places wherever they want to go. Looks really good. The suit's a little different as well, I think. It's a little more
the first time you see the Black Panther when he's up in the tree, I have a feeling that's maybe his father in a flashback scene, T'Chaka.
Oh,
because, yeah, if you pay attention, the suit looks a little bit older. Like the army guys down on the ground, like the technology, like the radios they have, they're kind of a little bit older.
Outdated, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that's a flashback.
Well, that would actually make sense because the trailer starts out with Andy Serkis's Claw talking about how he was the only one to make it back from that particular trip. So I guess now they kind of need him to get back into Wakanda. Whoever kidnaps him or saves him from S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, or whatever they're calling themselves now. Still trying to figure out what Martin Freeman's whole role in this thing is.
Everett K. Ross is his name.
Yeah, it's just, because he was just kind of in Civil War. I'm sure he'll just kind of be in this, but I'm sure there's a reason that they keep bringing him back. I'm sure he's, there's something that he's up to that'll probably come back around.
Yeah, well, from that interrogation scene, I kind of took it that, and I may just be reading the whole thing wrong, that Everett Ross, he knows about Wakanda, and he's playing dumb to try and see what, Claude knows about it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I took from it.
Oh, that makes sense. That would add up.
Yeah, I do love, Marvel films. One criticism they do get a lot is, they all kind of look the same. They all have that nice Marvel sheen plastered over them.
That fine shine.
Yeah, so, and this, this looks completely different, like, design-wise. You see a lot of the various different tribes of Wakanda. In that scene, on the cliff, that's all the different tribes of Wakanda. Mm-hmm. You get a look at a lot of the, I'm going to mispronounce a lot of names, but they're called the Dora Milaje, I believe.
Bless you.
Thank you. His female bodyguards. You see one of them in Civil War. I think her name's Io from Civil War. But yeah, I mean, this looks great.
Yeah, it really does. I've always, the most appealing part of Black Panther's character has always been the world he comes from, just this nation that you would think would be more just straight up tribal and kind of behind, but they're arguably the most advanced technologically, and that's just an interesting blend that we definitely haven't seen in the MCU, but really in just a lot of movies or stories in general. So I'm definitely want to get into it. We also get a look at we know Claw's going to be probably a big villain in the movie, but we get a look at Michael B. Jordan's character as well, who's going to play an antagonist. I'm not sure who his character is, but
Eric Killmonger.
Okay, cool. But yeah, he's it looks like him and Claw are probably going to team up and try to take down T'Challa. So yeah, I'm definitely I enjoyed. I didn't necessarily enjoy all of what I saw of Black Panther in Civil War. You know, there wasn't really enough of him to kind of get a grasp of his character. So
everything we see, we just see very brief glimpses of everything. It is very much a trailer where you have to like pause it every 2 seconds just to take it all in. Yeah,
but like the action looks really great. There's another. He loves flipping off some cars, doesn't he? In that suit, but it looks good, man.
Yeah. Manape, the third villain, is also going to be in this, played by Winston Duke. You see him for like a brief second holding up Black Panther.
Yeah. Now, is this movie? This movie's supposed to be set after Civil War, yeah? Or is it okay?
Yeah, my takeaway from it is immediately like it's him heading back to the nation to be, crowned king of Wakanda.
Oh, that's right, because T'Chaka was still king during Civil War, and then he got killed.
And so you have all these different factions in Wakanda that are, trying to... Because in Wakanda, it's passed, from a parent to the next child. But anybody can challenge the king of Wakanda, and if they win, they become the king.
Okay, so you think that's what Michael B. Jordan's going to be doing? God, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, like... There's just so much about this. There's so much about this world I really don't know.
Yeah, it's not a well-known part of the Marvel universe, so I'm excited. I love that they're just jumping right into the African culture too. It looks like.
Yeah. You see, I think they go through that door, and then he walks down, and there's just all these people gathered around this small there's like cliffs and stuff, and it's like just the nature and everything, like the settings, like just straight up there.
You see the one guy with the lip plate who is I like how the lip plate is the same color as the suit he's wearing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got a very they kind of took this. It looks like they took this in the same way that James Gunn took Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just we're going straight into it, and there's not a whole lot of needless exposition or just easing into anything. It's just this is a world that's been around, and that's how they're treating it. And I really hope that is the case. I'm keen to see more, and that's probably why we got this trailer right now, is because they want to get at least 2 more out there, and then insane amounts of TV spots. So yeah, I'm sure in a couple more months we'll get another trailer. Hopefully it won't ruin the plot. That was one thing about this trailer I really loved, is I have no idea what's going on in it story wise. I know that Claw's involved, and I know obviously Black Panther's there, but I don't know what's going to happen, and that's the way I want to keep it until the movie comes out.
Hey Sony, pay attention.
There's more Spider-Man footage that's been released.
Yeah, they released a 22-minute some kind of breakdown or sneak peek or something like that. I did not watch it because I don't want to see any more of that movie than I already have. But
and you've already seen too much.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't know what they're trying to do here. Do they want it? Do they not want people to go see it by just releasing the whole movie in clips?
I think this is just Sony summed up completely. They never learn from anything.
It's absolutely ridiculous, because this movie, they should have stopped after that second trailer, because that was too much, and that should have been the end of it, And we're still, I guess a little less than a month away from the release date for the U.S. at least. They're going to release even more stuff. I'm certain of it, and I'm going to go see it, but I don't know if they deserve it. That's our Sony rant for the day.
Yeah, moving on, we got some side news. Adam West passed away at 88.
Yeah, 88. Short battle with leukemia, it looks like. Yeah. And I honestly, I did not see this coming. That one took me a bit by shock. and it's sad, man. I mean, I love the 66 series. I was reading about him today because a lot of articles have come out. He obviously went through a lot of typecasting issues. Couldn't really get work after the series.
Yeah, that's how it was back in the 60s.
Yeah, but he really eventually made the most out of his situation and it's nice to see that a lot of other people would kind of take that situation in the wrong way and just absolutely hate the character that kind of put him there. But he embraced it, and he was always willing to do Batman stuff. Eventually, he was given kind of a boost in his career when Seth MacFarlane casted him as the mayor of Adam West in Family Guy. He's great in that.
Yeah, he wasn't one of those actors who was ashamed of his past. He wasn't like a William Shatner or a Tina Louise, if some of the younger listeners want to look up who she is. He was always willing to, portray Batman or, do a little pow.
A smack, a dab or two. Yeah, and I think that speaks not just to him as an actor, but also as a person. He kind of realized what this role meant to other people and how much it kind of, how much joy it gave to others, and he embraced that. And, we talked about a little bit the movie he released or helped release last year. I think it was last year, the Return of the Caped Crusader that DC did, the animated film. That's great. I read today that before he died, he finished a sequel to that, which is it's Batman versus Two-Face, and I assume they'll release it soon now, since kind of in memoriam of his death. William Shatner actually did the voice of Harvey Dent in this. I read, so I'm looking forward to watching that, and I'm glad that we'll have one more project from him to look back on later on. But yeah, it's sad. 88. That's obviously that's on up there, but it's sad to see him go. He's a good guy. Well, you got anything to cheer me up? Now you brought me down, Sean.
You like Chris Evans as Captain America, don't you?
You know what? I do. He's really grown on me.
Well, don't get used to it, because Avengers 4 is probably going to be his last time as Captain America.
Sean, you're supposed to cheer me up, Sean.
I don't do that here. That's not what the show is about.
You really are. You're the negative linchpin of the show, but I appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. But no, actually it's a little bit of good news, because he wasn't originally contracted to do the fourth Avengers. He was only going to do the third one, and then he could have walked if he wanted. So
he was contracted to do 6 films, 3 Captain Americas, and 3 Avengers.
Oh, I was just saying, he's going to sign on. He's already signed on to do the next Avengers, which is still, I guess, going to be a 2-part type film. They haven't really said since they changed the... right now the fourth Avengers is just Untitled. Originally it was going to be Avengers Infinity War Part 2.
You want me to say what Chris Evans says right here about that?
What's Chris Evans got to say? I want to hear his opinion.
He said, I had 6 films in my Marvel contract, so I could have said... After the third Avengers, I was done, but they wanted to make the third and fourth films as a 2-parter, so yeah, it's 2 parts. They said they had so many other characters to fit in: Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, and couldn't get them all in one movie. Because it made sense, it's going to wrap everything up. So yeah, sounds like this is kind of the end here, at least for this character.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not just him. I'm sure later on a lot more of the actors since the beginning will kind of come out and say this is it for me as well, because this has been going on since 2008 with the first Iron Man film, so it makes sense that they're kind of ready to put it behind them.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I remember back in I guess it was around Thor: The Dark World was coming out. Chris Hemsworth, he talked about just how stressful it is, because he in 2011 he had Thor come out, and then 2012 he had Avengers, then 2013 he had The Dark World. And normally when they do franchises, they do it like every 2-3 years or so the actors get a break. But with these guys, it's every year they got to do this.
Yeah, and it doesn't just stop at the filming. They got to go on press tours and promote the film. Have to go visit some kids in hospital in costume. That's always great. I love to see that. But it makes sense that they're kind of, and also just from kind of an artistic standpoint, they want to do other things. And they kind of have, like, you'll have a Heart of the Sea or a Before We Go, any of those.
A Snowpiercer, perhaps?
Ooh, yeah, but I'm sure they're kind of ready to just kind of focus on new films and new projects, and also be with their families, I guess. I'm sure they like that. But, this has gone... Honestly, I didn't think that this would go as well as it has overall. Like, I would have expected, someone to, drop out completely or maybe be replaced, and which we've gotten that a couple times. We've lost Terrence Howard, but I think the world was better for it overall. But yeah, no, I really like how this Marvel universe has shaped up over these last years, and I'm excited to see kind of what they do story wise with replacing some of these original actors. We'll probably get Sebastian Stan, I assume, will eventually take over the role of Captain America like his character did in the comics, because he's still signed on for a few more films, if I remember right.
Yeah, he signed on for 9. They really got him down.
Yeah, which, I don't know how that works, because some of them he's just kind of, like, does that count if he's just kind of in a scene in a film, like a cameo type thing? Is that just like...
Well, I know Robert Downey Jr., like, at the end of when he shows up in The Incredible Hulk, he did that as a freebie. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming if they just show up in some capacity or another, if the actors want, they can invoke that, that's part of their contract.
Okay. Yeah, but I think overall, everyone, it's obviously been a lot of work for everybody involved, but it seems like they've enjoyed it, and it's good that he wants to do one more film, if that kind of helps the overall Thanos storyline. So yeah, we'll keep up with that as we go along, I guess. Got nothing else to do. Well, Sean, you've been talking about all this news that you found, but I found a couple things that maybe I could mention if you're up for it. Yes? No? Maybe?
I mean, yeah, I guess. Dang it, Snoop. Go ahead.
Well, I've got some news that you're not gonna like, but I think other people might be interested to hear it. E3 has technically started these last couple days. Got some press conferences going about. For any of those of you that don't really know, E3 is kind of like the big gaming convention that happens every year, where we find out what we're going to spend our money on and who we're going to give it to.
What kind of games do they play here? A little bit of tennis, some volleyball, some checkers, maybe.
Maybe a solid game of lacrosse or two. But no, Sean, no. We're talking about video games here.
Oh.
On the TV, in the computer, those things.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so E3's it's actually going to start recording on a Sunday. Is that the day? Yeah. So it's actually going to start tomorrow and kind of go through until Wednesday, I believe. But basically, right now, companies like EA and Bethesda, Microsoft have been doing their press conferences and kind of talking about what they're bringing to the table. EA and specifically has shown some new footage of Star Wars Battlefront 2. And so when Disney bought Star Wars, they bought everything, video game rights, books, everything. So they employed EA to make their video games from now on. And Battlefront was actually a really popular series back in the day, Sean. I'm sure even you've heard of it. And it's just kind of like sometimes free-for-all, sometimes team-based. You fight in the Star Wars universe, Sean. You get guns, you get little lightsabers, you get ships, the whole deal. And they came out with a game, I guess a couple of years ago now, the first Battlefront. It looked and sounded great. It was like you were writing a Star Wars movie, but there was just nothing there, unfortunately. And that's...
So like a Star Wars movie. So like a normal Star Wars movie, nothing there.
Oh.
Got him. I got him so good.
Zing. But...
Continue.
So everyone was kind of interested to see what they were going to bring to the table with the sequel. And... they're basically giving us everything that we should have just had in the beginning. In the original game, they only did the original trilogy, and that was it. In this, we're gonna you can play as the droids from the prequels. You can go to the nice city of Naboo, but you don't have to go to any of those silly council meetings that we all hate so much. But no, actually, the gameplay, it does look amazing. Even about the last game, there wasn't necessarily anything there gameplay-wise, but it looked amazing. So it looks like they're just kind of bringing everything that should have been in the first game into this game. So you can play through all different trilogies the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and then this new trilogy that they're doing. Rey's in there. We get a little bit of Rey and Kylo Ren. You can play as them. And I don't know, it looks really good. I'm excited to, I'm not necessarily gonna buy it on day one because I got burned on the last game so bad. But if there's a lot more customization and modes and maps, I'm happy to jump on board. And you should too, Sean. Maybe look into it. You can play as a Yoda.
Nah, I don't do yoga. It kind of hurts my back.
Fair enough. But no, it's a Star Wars Battlefront 2, and it's going to be on PlayStation and Xbox. I'm sure PC as well. Probably not Nintendo. They don't necessarily get a lot of these bigger projects, unfortunately. And also Microsoft just announced their new console, which is the Xbox One X. I think I got that right. I don't know. They just added an X to the end of whatever it is now.
About to say, that's a lot of X's.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
If they add one more X, they can't show it to the kids.
It'd be too much. But, yeah, there's really not much. I was kind of looking up this stuff before we started recording, and there's not a lot to it. Originally, this was rumored to be called Project Scorpio, and all it is it's the same exact console. It just runs faster and can run 4K graphics, which is what PlayStation's already moved towards with their PlayStation Pro. Their big selling point on this right now, it seems, is that it's got a better processor than the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it can run original Xbox games. It has backwards compatibility, so you can put your old Battlefront in there, Sean, and you can play it just as well as you could any other new Battlefront.
Well, good, because obviously I have 2 copies.
And now you can put one in each console. Thank God someone's listening to you and your problems. But, for our Xbox fans, I'm sure this is a good thing. To me, it's just, it's just a fancier version of the console.
Just because I don't pay attention to any of this, which is it that you have? Is it the new Xbox or the new PlayStation?
I actually don't have... Yeah, I have the new PlayStation. I have the PlayStation 4, and, like I said, there's a PlayStation 4 Pro, which is just... It can run games at, like, a higher frame rate than mine, so it looks better. And that's something I would like to have, but just not for the higher price point. For true, hardcore gamers, this is what they want. Because that's kind of been the advantage for PC, is that they've already kind of been able to do that. Consoles are just now making the move over to this, and that's going to win a lot of people back, I'm sure. Okay. But this is just another... It's going to start out at... It's going on sale in November, this new Xbox, and I think it's going to start out at $4.99. And that's... it's not bad. I necessarily wouldn't buy it day one because a lot of these consoles will drop in price shortly after. But, just wanted to throw it out there, Sean, in case you're interested.
I'm not, but...
Oh, well.
I was going to say, because I know I've used your console to use Netflix. That's the only thing you should use it for. And honestly, I couldn't even pay attention enough to see if there was an Xbox or a PlayStation logo on it, so...
Yeah,
that's how detached I am from this.
Well, you're not necessarily wrong. It's just kind of how consoles have gone in the last few years. Is they're not just becoming gaming consoles anymore. It's just they want to kind of hit this whole demographic and be an all-in-one entertainment system. And it's nice to have your Netflix and your YouTube and whatever on there. My problem with that is, you can make it look as nice as you want, but there needs to be something worth playing on there. And that's what I always look forward to E3 and why I keep up with it every year, is because I want to see what games are coming out, And if it's just like a 4K resolution, version of Wii Tennis, then I'm not going to care, So
go play actual tennis.
Exactly. I want to see something that's like, either has amazing gameplay that can keep me entertained, or just is a game that has decent gameplay but with a really great story. Because there's a lot of games that offer stories that you can't necessarily get out of comics or movie or television. And so, I'll keep up with it these next few days. It's my last week of work, so I got nothing better to do. And I'll probably talk more about it next week. But, Sean, I've taken up a lot of your time. You got any more news you want to share with me?
Not off the top of the old dome here, Snoop. You got anything?
I've actually got a couple things. We talked about Wonder Woman last week.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good film. If you guys haven't checked out that episode, maybe give it a go, maybe not. But apparently, Patty Jenkins hasn't been officially signed on for Wonder Woman 2. It was originally announced that she was, but no, they're still in negotiations right now.
And I'm assuming she will be.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, maybe negotiating the pay and everything and kind of where they want to take the movie and how that fits into the bigger universe, but I just wanted to throw it out there. But also Wonder Woman related, Robin Wright is set to reprise her role as Annie Opie in Justice League, apparently. So that'll be, that's a thing, isn't it?
That's something.
So what do you think that's gonna, there's a reason that I wouldn't expect her to be in that movie, I'll just say that. So
it would have to be flashbacks, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think they've kind of alluded to that before. I think Zack Snyder has kind of said that, the Mother Boxes and Darkseid's minions are going to be the main threat in this movie.
I think one of the rumors is one of the Mother Boxes ends up on Themyscira, so you might get a flashback of Antiope being like, hey, this looks like something man would create. Let's bury it.
Let's just put it in the backyard and never mention it again. Ugh. But yeah, which I'm actually kind of excited. I liked Robin Wright's portrayal as Annie Opie in Wonder Woman, so I'm keen to see her again.
It's Antiope.
It's whatever I want to say it is, Sean.
I'm only saying that because that's like a really, like, Wonder Woman fans get really upset about her pronunciation. I don't care, but
sounds like you do care.
I know. It's just one of those things that they'll hunt you down and murder you in your sleep.
Well, they'll never find me here in Athens, Georgia. Oh.
Apartment number 3085.
But yeah, like I said, I want to see her again. John, you really don't have any more news? I got so much stuff here.
Well, keep throwing it at me. I'll catch it all day.
All right. Well, here, catch this Titan TV series that...
Oh, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it's going to start filming this fall and eventually be put on that DC subscription service that we definitely will buy legally and watch it that way. Yes, Sean, let me ask you, are you interested in this live-action Titan series that they're going to be doing?
Sort of. I'll check it out. I'm willing to give anything at least one episode.
Yeah. I just wish they would... I know you don't feel strongly as I do, but I just don't understand why they didn't restart the original Teen Titans cartoon that we had in the mid-2000s. Because, they...
Probably because... And this is going to make a lot of people upset. Probably because it was not very good.
Yeah. Again, I knew you were going to say that, but the thing is, there's plenty of stuff that we brought back now that wasn't good at all. So why not? They made Teen Titans Go, which was just like fart gags and, chibi animation. I don't know why they did that. Now why they're doing this live action series. It's kind of been running, it's been changed from this to Young Justice live action series, and now we're getting Young Justice and this. I don't know what they want to do with this. And especially if this is one of the two things they're going to have on their subscription service at the start. I imagine they'll maybe put some money into it in that case. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll keep up with it loosely because I like the Teen Titans, but other than that, I don't really care. You know what I do care about, though, Sean?
What's that, Snoop?
I care about Ant-Man sequels, and specifically who's in them. And you know who's in one of those?
Yeah, I saw this. I forgot, but I saw it.
Hannah John Carmen is going to be in it.
That person.
Yeah, she's been in an episode or two of Black Mirror, apparently. Fantastic show, by the way.
Yeah, we'll do an episode on Black Mirror one day. Just you wait.
I'd love to do an episode on Black Mirror. But, yeah, they're kind of keeping it under wraps who she's going to play. I don't know enough about the Ant-Man lore to guess, but
you don't think she'd maybe be Janet Van Dyne, do you?
The OG Wasp?
Yeah.
Who's in? It depends on what they want to do with that character. This woman is younger than Michael Douglas, so if they were just going to do more flashbacks but have the mask off, then...
Well, she's been trapped in the, what do they call it, the microverse or whatever. Maybe time works differently in there.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, bring her back to what end, I mean, she's not going to be the love interest for
True.
Paul Rudd, because that's already Evangeline Lilly's character, who's her daughter, and she's going to be the new Wasp. So I'd still like to think that they're just going to hire someone a little older and have her, come out of the microverse and, help out. But I don't know. Well, I'm actually really interested. A lot of people didn't necessarily like Ant-Man for what it became. A lot of them are still sour that Edgar Wright didn't get to do his version, and I would have loved to see that version as well. But what we ended up getting was a lot better than what I thought we were going to get, given the situation. So I'm keen to see a new sequel for this. How about you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to hear more news about it. It's supposed to come out next year?
It comes out in between the two Avengers movies.
Yeah, I would assume that'd be next year then, because we know Avengers 3 is coming out next year. So I bet that'll be first, because I think Thor Ragnarok's supposed to be the last film before Avengers 3.
No, it's Black Panther in February is the last one.
God, you're always proving me wrong. All right, well, Black Panther then.
July 6, 2018, so yeah, next year after Infinity War.
Oh, so I guess it would be a couple months after that then.
Yeah.
Okay, solid. All right, yeah, like I said, I definitely want to... That'll be weird to kind of see... I didn't even think about that. That'll be weird to see what other solo films, where they go in between the two Avengers movies.
Yeah, it's that and Captain Marvel, I think, are the only two.
Yeah, which we know Captain Marvel's going to show up in Avengers 3. They've already confirmed. So, I'm ready to see her for sure. I love Brie Larson. Let's see. I think I got maybe one more thing of news for you, Sean. Just been throwing it all out.
All right. Let me get my good glove on.
Ooh, I got one more thing, and this is it. The new Tomb Raider reboot just finished production this week.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You don't want to see this?
No, I don't.
Why not? It could be good.
No, it won't.
Yeah, you're right. It probably won't. But I like Tomb Raider. I like the series.
Okay, that's fine.
I like Alicia Vikander is going to be she's going to be Lara Croft, the main character.
From Ex Machina, yeah.
Yeah, those are both good things. So, in my head, this should be a good movie, but I understand why you think it's not. Okay, if the first couple trailers look decent, we'll go see it. Deal?
Oh, sure, buddy. I'll be there so fast with my tub o' popcorn and my big drink. They can't keep me out.
Look, you could be a dickhead to me on this podcast all you want, but you show Alicia Vikander some respect.
She is a good actress.
Yeah, she is. She's really great in that one movie that's just kind of a movie. The spy one with Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer.
Oh, Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, she's good in that. And it's just kind of a movie. So, yeah, I definitely want to keep up with this, but I want there to be a good video game film. I just don't know why there can't be. How can you... I don't know. That's a different rant for a different day. Well, Sean, I think that's all the news I'm going to have for you today.
Okay.
There's definitely a lot more than last week, so we're ahead of the game this time. And we might even get this episode out on time. I'm not dying like I was last week, so...
Miracles do happen.
Well, if you don't have anything for me, and I don't have anything for you, I guess that's the end of the show.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.
See you next week.
Or we could talk about something else.
Okay. What do you want to talk about?
It's not about... Well, Sean, it's your turn to pick this week.
Oh. So, I like superhero movies. We both do.
It's a love-hate relationship at times.
Yeah, but what I'm tired of talking about is I'm tired of talking about all these popular ones, Let's get some obscure, movies.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, Unbreakable, Supergirl, the Dark Knight trilogy. Like, nobody has seen that. So we're going to talk about the Dark Knight trilogy tonight.
So if you haven't seen these movies, watch them and then maybe come back here. Everyone's seen these movies.
So neither one of us watched these movies in preparation of this episode, correct?
I said I was going to watch one, but I didn't. So
okay, so this episode should be fun.
Well, what I did do, though, Sean, is I gathered up a couple facts about the trilogy as a whole. Some you know, some you might not know.
Okay.
Oh, these movies, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, from 2005 to 2012. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yep.
Together, they've grossed over $2 billion, which is insane. Even for, now superhero movies are making $1 billion each, but back then, that's insanely impressive. The last two alone got $1 billion each.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, I didn't even think about this, but this is the first time that the same actor has portrayed Batman in 3 movies in a row. So that's a little fun fact for you.
That is fun.
Yeah, but I credit these movies a lot to kind of the movies we have now. Iron Man was in between the... would that have been right after The Dark Knight in the same year or right before?
I think it came out... I think it came out before. I think it came out in May, and The Dark Knight maybe came out in November of that year, if I remember correctly.
That sounds about right. But even Batman Begins, that kind of rebooted superhero movies as a whole.
Yeah, Batman Begins only made $374 million,
Mm-hmm.
and that's on a $150 million budget, which is not great by any stretch, but it sold a lot of copies on the old DVD, that outdated format. So yeah, it made Warner Brothers take notice when that happened, and so by the time you get to 2008, which I think 2008 is a very important year when it comes to superhero movies, because you have The Dark Knight, which is, this very serious, realistic take on superheroes, and you also have Iron Man that came out that year that, made Marvel films good again and started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, yeah, those 2 movies really just completely changed cinema in ways that are still being felt today.
Yeah, it was okay to be a nerd after 2008.
Yeah. I looked it up. It came out, The Dark Knight came out in July, so a few months after Iron Man.
Yeah, and that would have been obviously right before Heath Ledger's passing.
Yeah.
So, which a lot of people credit that to the reason that movie made as much money as it did. And in a way, I can see that, but that is genuinely just a solid film all around.
Mm-hmm.
That movie stayed in theaters forever.
Yeah.
That's the first time, because, back in the day, movies just stayed in theaters for, a year until people stopped seeing them.
Oh, yeah, there was, Jaws came out in, 1978 or 9?
Yeah.
People were still watching in, 85 or whatever. It was just, if it was popular, it just stayed there.
Yeah, and this was kind of obviously, it didn't stay in theaters that long, but it was still, it went for a solid time. I want to say 7 or 8 months almost is when it was in our theaters, which is, it's great. But I think Warner Brothers wanted this to be the start of their DC universe, but Christopher Nolan shut it down.
Yeah, there was talk when, because Superman Returns came out in 2007, and there was talk about mixing the two, and the old Nolan was not a fan.
Which, it's interesting, I would have never expected him to kind of take these films on. This doesn't really seem like a project that he would commit to as much as he did. And he really, after this, he has, I think he produced Man of Steel, so he had a little bit of input in that, but he's pretty much just gone back to doing his own projects.
Yeah. Well, if you look at Batman Begins, it has a lot of Nolan in it in terms of how he likes to structure his films. It's not told in chronological order. It's a very sexless movie. Nolan's not big on romance. It has kind of a muted color tone, which most of his films have. So you can tell. I can't think of what movie he did before he did, maybe The Prestige, before he did this one. But it has a lot of, how he structures films in this.
Yeah, I guess we could, kind of get into one film at a time. And as we talk about it, I'll just share more trilogy facts with you, Sean, whenever I feel the need. Like this one. Every main villain in the film portrayed a henchman at one point during it. So that's a thing.
Huh, I did not know that.
Yeah, you would have, was it? I can't necessarily recall Crane, who's the Scarecrow in Batman Begins, but I feel like he portrayed a doctor at some point.
Cillian
or
Murphy.
an assistant. Yeah, Cillian Murphy's character. I know, obviously, you have Heath Ledger's the Joker. He's one of the henchmen in the bank robbery, which is great. That whole scene is a great introduction to his character. And then I think Baines would either be on the plane in the beginning or when he's the like the motorcyclist in the Invasion on Wall Street.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you meant like they played a different character completely. But
No,
yeah,
Sean,
okay.
they're so
I get what-
overworked.
I get what you're saying.
They're so overworked already. Jeez. God.
So Batman Begins. How do you feel about that?
That is a movie, so that's a movie that grew on me. I think I had to watch that one a little more. But as far as, even now, that's probably the most comic book accurate of the three to me. This trilogy's always been based on more realism and, what if this superhero was in our world kind of thing. But, yeah, that's the most Batman movie to me. What about you?
Yeah, I love Batman Begins. A lot of people, it ends up being their favorite movie of the trilogy, actually. But I think this is the most, when you say the most Batman-like, I think his fighting style is like what you would picture Batman fighting like. I think that's pretty accurate here. It kind of changes as the movies progress. But like that scene at the docks where he's just like zipping around like all the freights, yeah, that's how you imagine Batman fighting in the comics.
Yeah, just kind of in the shadows and using it to his advantage. Yeah, it's really great. I think this one in particular, as far as the character of Batman goes, works for me the best because he didn't go overboard with the voice at that point.
No, which is, it is funny because by the time Dark Knight came out, people were making fun of that voice, and then you get The Dark Knight Rises, and they amp it up even more.
It's so bad. That's one of the biggest lessons I think they learned through when it came to Batman versus Superman. Just give him a voice modulator, and it's fine. But no, I think overall, we've had. Let's see, Christian Bale would have been the fourth Bruce Wayne at this point, or no, the third. No, he would have been the fourth because it was Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, then him.
Yeah, the fourth as far as films go. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, I think that he plays the best Bruce Wayne, like this just kind of like pompous billionaire playboy persona.
I think he does a good job of putting on a facade of that. Like, if you pay attention to him, it's obvious there's something else going on in his head. Yeah,
exactly. But it's just there to fool everyone else around him and keep the suspicions off of him.
Like, I think it was in the first one where he like walks into the club with like two supermodels on his arms, and like Rachel Dawes is right there, and you can kind of like he's playing it up, but you can kind of tell that he's forcing himself to do this. He doesn't enjoy it.
No, like he knows he has to do it to kind of still be Batman because otherwise it's a dead giveaway. And it's just like the supermodel thing. I think it's in The Dark Knight where he's like, I'll just sit here, and they're like, you think they'll be okay with that? He's like, oh, it should be fine. I own this restaurant. He just buys whatever he wants and just doesn't. It's to in a way, I guess it's almost kind of like a coping mechanism as well. To kind of, he went through this tragedy where his parents were murdered, and he also uses this to keep people away, just to act like this complete idiot and rich idiot and only hang around with people he can send home the next day or whatever. So yeah, it works really well, especially for this story that Nolan's trying to tell.
I think this is probably the best origin superhero movie. I love watching Bruce travel the world and all that. I always find that an interesting part of Batman's history is the part where he's just traveling the world and picking up all these different skills.
Yeah, that's you said you watch a show about that, and I'd agree. Also, in that particular sequence you're referring to, it's interesting to see that in a way he's almost just kind of doing it because he feels like he has to. He's not, I wouldn't say giving up, but he isn't enjoying it in any way to me, and that works a lot for the character.
Well, the film opens up with him just like he's in a prison fight basically, and he's just destroying one person after the other, and the camera just zooms out and you just see a bunch of bodies laying around.
Yeah.
There's no telling how long he's been up to this. There's a great comic that came out not too long ago where he was in his training, and the person training him wanted him to kill, and Batman's, like, I'll never cross that line. And so the person training him is just sending him one person after the other. And, like, the people watching, they're like, he's been doing this for, like, 24 hours. When is he gonna give this up? And then Batman just slowly, like, forms a smile on his face and just starts laughing maniacally as he just keeps beating up one person after the other. I kind of like to imagine that's what was going on there.
Yeah, it's kind of the only way he can live now. And that's kind of how he that's how he meets Ra's al Ghul in this film, which is played by Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Great choice.
Mind your surroundings.
Yeah, and that's I believe you're the one that told me that's not necessarily like, I think it's maybe worked into the comics more now, but originally that was his idea, is to have him trained by Ra's.
Yeah, that was an invention of the movie.
Yeah, and it works for me, especially going later into the history of, like, him being with Talia and everything. But yeah, it's interesting to see they kind of have the same values. Like, they want to protect their city. He wants to protect his city. Ra's wants to protect the world from evil. They just go about it in completely different ways. Whereas Ra's is willing to, he's like, I kill and that's that, and it's for the good of everything. And Bruce won't even stoop. No, he won't stoop to that level, which is another great addition to the character of Batman. Kind of him developing this alter ego to save Gotham his way. Mm-hmm. Even though he does kill a lot of people after he refuses to kill that one guy.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. I like the idea, since this is more of a realistic world, that Ra's al Ghul, he's not like hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
But they kind of changed that by having the League of Shadows kind of taking on more of the role of what Ra's al Ghul is supposed to be, because you get all these mentions of, back in this time we ransacked Rome, and, then we burnt down this city, in the 1400s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, it's almost like the League of Shadows and Ra's al Ghul they're kind of supposed to be the same.
Yeah.
And he's just another person carrying on that mantle. And he wants Bruce to be the next person to continue that. But like I said, Bruce isn't willing to go to those depths. And he decides to go back and start Batmaning all about. And I think everyone in this, the only role that kind of is gone through trouble is Rachel's role, because we have the two different actors, and the character's just never really been hugely interesting to me. But everyone else is, pretty much spot on.
And that's that's an original character for the movie. She was never in the comics,
Yeah, which that you said that Nolan never kind of wanted to take this romance. It seems like that was more or less a studio's call, was to have this kind of character thrown in there.
Looking back, it's kind of interesting that they didn't go with, like, Vicky Vale or somebody like that. That's a love interest that he has had in the comics. But
yeah, it just seems like Nolan didn't even want anything to do with it, and he worked it in his own way to his advantage, and that kind of pays off later on in The Dark Knight, which we'll talk about. But Michael Caine as Alfred is really great, and then of course we get Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon, and Jim Gordon's mustache. All good stuff.
Two different characters, yeah.
Both important to the plot.
Both got a paycheck.
Both own a house in Malibu next to each other. It's a great relationship, great working relationship. But yeah, do you I like before Michael Caine, the most notable version of Alfred in the movies was kind of the one from the Tim Burton movies, which do you remember his name, the actor?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Well, either way, he was a great Alfred, but this kind of like brought it to the modern world.
Yeah, this is more the the version of Alfred that he tells Bruce what he needs to hear from time to time.
Yeah, and he's kind of been through his own shit as well.
Yeah.
This one's been in the war and everything, and he gives him advice based on his own experiences. and they sometimes get along, they sometimes don't, but when it comes down to a pinch, he's always looking out for him. And he literally he loved, he's loved him like a son.
Yeah.
And it's Michael Caine really he sells this role. Those are some of the best scenes in the movie between just the character of Bruce is with Alfred. Like I said, the romance with Rachel, that stuff never really works for me, but I love seeing him and Alfred kind of just,
You want to see him and Alfred make out instead of him and Rachel?
No, I just want to see him maybe, like, he's like, Master Wayne, let's go to bed, and he tucks him in and gives him a kiss on the head.
And then he gets into bed with him, It's normal stuff, it's okay.
You're taking this too far. Look, it's too much. How do you like the villain in this movie? Old Cillian Murphy. Great actor.
He's good. Cillian Murphy, you don't hear a lot. Like, he's in a lot of stuff, but...
He's in a lot of Nolan stuff. He's going to be in Dunkirk as well.
But he's not one of those guys that's really ever blown up, but he's a good actor.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, Scarecrow's good. They play with the idea of fear within this movie. Bruce Wayne has to overcome it. That's the whole point of him being Batman. He sees a bat. He's like, I'm kind of scared of that thing up there. It's just, it's kind of creepy looking. But so fear is a major theme in this movie, and the scene in the cave where Bruce Wayne is being surrounded by the bats, and they're all just fluttering about him, and he's just finally embracing the fear. That's a great moment, I think.
And it's cool to see. In this movie, he builds the cave and the suit. We've never really gotten that in any of the movies before, or necessarily after it. Batman's already kind of been established, and so it was kind of interesting to see how a person, with that insane amount of money and know-how would do this, and just to see him becoming that persona it's really compelling. And like I said, Alfred's just always there, ready to tuck him in, Sean. It's really great stuff.
Get into bed with him.
What I really like about this movie that the other movies didn't necessarily, do, and this isn't only the beginning of Batman, but also kind of Gotham turning around, because when he goes away and comes back, Gotham's it's messed up, just like in Batman Year One, where you got crooked cops and criminals are everywhere, and Batman and Gotham are both interesting elements of those stories. Gotham's probably the most interesting city that DC has, and we really get Gotham feels like Gotham in this movie to me.
Yeah, I think this whole trilogy was shot in Chicago, if I remember correctly. But as far as comics go, this is inspired by The Man Who Falls plays a big role in this, and as you mentioned, Batman Year One. There's a few scenes that are taken straight from Year One, like when he has the bat signal that brings all the bats in to help him escape from the cops. That's taken straight from Year One. Yeah,
it's really, and I like how you're able to do that stuff in this particular movie that's supposed to be more grounded and realistic, but it's still in the context of the scenes it works. It's like I said, it's something we didn't necessarily expect from a Batman movie at this time, just based on all the other ones we've gotten. There's no Bat credit cards, Sean.
Speaking of stuff that's almost realistic, how do you feel about the microwave emitter?
I don't know if I remember.
The thing that
is that the thing that was gonna poison everybody?
It was supposed to basically cause the blood in everybody to Ra's al Ghul creates it, and it's gonna boil everybody's blood, I guess was the idea.
Oh yeah.
That's not quite how microwaves work. But
yeah, there's a couple things like that in this trilogy as a whole where they just needed something. They needed a plot device, and it's fine.
Also, during that whole secrets at the end, where Ra's al Ghul is released, not Ra's al Ghul, but Scarecrow, he's released the fear toxin into Gotham, into the streets at the end, and you get everybody's having hallucinations, and Batman, he saves a kid. You know who that kid is?
Is it John Blake?
No.
Sorry. Who is it?
That's I think his name is Jackie Gleason is the name of the actor. That's a young Joffrey you're looking at there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He probably should have killed that kid then. But yeah, I think the microwave thing, and like, I feel like it's better on paper than in actual execution.
Yeah.
The more interesting stuff with this particular movie was the fear gas and scarecrow. I guess maybe they didn't think that that'd be enough to kind of go with, and so they had the twist where, you know, he doesn't kill Ra's al Ghul, and that's why he comes back to kind of get revenge on him. Mm-hmm. And also because he's just like, you know what, this place is a messed up city. We should probably kill everyone here. And arguably, he might be right. But
you have a guy waddling up and down the streets. You don't help him. You just call him the Penguin. He has a nightclub. You let that man have a nightclub. What is wrong with this city?
Yeah, but it's fine. I think the biggest, and this doesn't even really bother me at this point, but a lot of people, you know, bring up Batman's supposed to have this no-kill rule, and he more or less sticks to it throughout the movie until Ra's al Ghul kind of eggs him on to kill him on that train, and he's just like, I won't kill you, or he's like, I won't kill you, but it doesn't mean I have to save you. That doesn't mean that you didn't kill him, Batman.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, the Batman from the comics would definitely, like, shoot down, like, a grappling hook or something and grab him.
Yeah, just, like, kind of, yeah, like, give him a grappling hook and, you know, have him tied to a nearby building so the cops can get him, or, you know, what have you. But, like I said, it's fine. It's what it is. The third act is probably the messiest of this movie, but it's still entertaining enough to stick with it. Like I said, the fear gas stuff is what I was really into, and that's more or less, out of this trilogy as a whole, I'd say that's the most comic accurate we would get with some of the stuff that is in Batman. Like, that doesn't, you know, he wants to keep this realistic tone, and he does throughout the entire trilogy, and some things do suffer with that, but he was at least able to do the fear gas, and that is great. I don't think he could have done the Scarecrow without that. And I like Cillian Murphy in the role. I'd like to see, you know, I would have liked to see more of him. In a way you do, but yeah. So, I don't know, is there anything else you want to talk about Batman Begins before we begins to talk about something else?
I'm just going to let that sit there for a moment, let people appreciate that great pun you made. Okay, is that enough time?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Well, are you sure?
Look, Sean, I appreciate your support. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's get to The Dark Knight.
All right, The Dark Knight, 2008, as we said earlier. You mentioned that fear is the main theme for the Batman Begins, and Christopher Nolan wanted to keep a one-word theme, just keep it nice and simple for all the movies, and this one apparently deals with chaos. It's in my Dark Knight trilogy facts, Sean. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on in this. Obviously, biggest thing we're going to talk about, Heath Ledger's Joker, Batman's main foe, who we were teased in Batman Begins. We saw the card at the end, and we were like, we know what that means. But this, we get to see it in full effect, Sean. And how did you feel about it?
The first time I saw this movie, I was blown away by Heath Ledger's performance.
Yeah,
it's one of those things you heard about, but until you actually experienced it.
Yeah, and we obviously heard a lot before the movie even came out because he passed away, and so they promoted the movie on the back of that, and so everyone wanted to go see it, and I was afraid it was going to be one of those things that's just like, you know, it was fine, but it wasn't what everyone said it was. This was an incredible, not just comic book portrayal, but just an incredible performance as an actor. It's sad to see that he can't, you know, we're not going to get any more out of him. Are you under the impression, like most people, that this movie would be nothing without that performance?
Oh no, you still have I think you still have an interesting movie in here. I think Aaron Eckhart, he's not, you know, pushed to the front like Heath Ledger is, but I think he's really good in this as Two-Face.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think Batman's journey, because this is like a year after Batman Begins takes place?
Yeah, it's not long. It's like 6 months to a year, I'd say.
I think, you know, Batman's been doing this for a little while now, so it's interesting to see where he's at in his life now. I think he goes on a good character arc in this. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid movie all around.
Yeah, it's you know, it's interesting. Like I said, Gotham was probably the most Gotham-y in the first Batman Begins. After that, it just kind of turns into a generic city in The Dark Knight, but it's fine because we're more interested in the characters that we're getting. And to just kind of have this character who is the exact opposite of Batman, and that's, you know, obviously what the Joker is, to see it on screen, this would have been the first time since Jack Nicholson's The Joker, which was still a solid performance, but this was the, like, exact opposite. This was just, like, he was a straight-up psychotic murderer, but he always seemed in control, and you got that sense of that even from, like, the first opening scene with the henchman robbery, how he had everyone tell that person, or kill the person before them who was, you know, supposed to do a job so they could get more share of the money, and then have him be the exact, like, last guy. Like, to have him plan out that entire thing. And it's insane how, just that scene in general, how it was shot and everything and written is amazing.
Yeah, a lot of the Joker's plans in this movie, it feels like something very simple could go wrong and just mess everything up. But at the same time, he seems like the type of guy that just would have a backup to anything that could happen.
Yeah, like I said, he's planned for every outcome, and he's that confident and that in control, and you get that sense. Which
I guess is ironic for a guy that's spouting off all this stuff about anarchy and chaos. How much of this he has planned.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone else in the movie is, you know, kind of. It's interesting to see that everyone else in the movie that interacts with him is a person who is supposedly in control of the situation, that they're, you know, like the mob bosses, like the mayor and everything in the city. They put these, like, he puts these people on edge because as more and more people get killed off by him, they start to realize that, you know, they don't know what's going to happen, and he is the only one that does because he's planning everything. And Batman has to try and keep up the whole movie, and it's crazy. You know, he really went all in on this performance, and it's compelling to watch. You want to see what he's going to do next. I like how involved he is with everything, you know, which is how I imagine the Joker to be. He's not necessarily, he could have all these henchmen and have, you know, everything planned out where they could do it, but he does it, I guess, either because he doesn't feel like they can pull it off, or just because he enjoys causing so much chaos. He gets a kick out of it, and it's fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
How'd you like? We talked about Joker. How'd you feel about Batman this go round in this movie?
He was depressed a lot in this movie, wasn't he?
He wanted Rachel back. The old same looking Rachel.
She looked exactly the same, didn't she? Yeah. So Maggie Gyllenhaal portrays Rachel Dawes in this movie as compared to Katie Holmes, because I think Katie Holmes was dealing with her completely sane husband at the time.
He wasn't jumping on any couches that Oprah owned around that time.
You want to know something? This is off topic. You want to know something interesting about Tom Cruise jumping on that couch?
They had to replace it?
No, that actually never happened. You thought you saw it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Sean, I know what I saw.
You thought you saw it. It never happened.
Hold on. This isn't in my Dark Trilogy facts at all.
No, seriously. When
What
that
happened?
When that happened, everybody, this was when YouTube was getting big, so everybody went onto YouTube and they saw Tom Cruise jumping up on Oprah's couch like 50 times. He gets up on the couch one time, jumps up one time, then sits back down. That's all that happens.
Someone looped it.
Yeah, and
that's solid.
And now everybody on the planet, you know, has this implanted memory of Tom Cruise jumping up and down on her couch.
Well, good. He deserves it, that prick.
But anyway, back to The Dark Knight.
Yeah, you said Batman's kind of depressed this whole time.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's been a minute since I've seen this movie. I'm trying to remember, you know, kind of what he goes through in this.
Well, you know, he kind of wants to get back with Rachel, but obviously he's having trouble with that because she's moved on to Gotham's White Knight, Harvey Dent, and his double chin. It's obviously, even as a Playboy billionaire, it's hard to compete with that, Sean. And I think at one point she even kind of admits that she would go back to him if he wasn't Batman, because she's one of the few people that knows. So he's kind of struggling with this. To me, anyways, it seems like he's kind of struggling with his two lives. You know, does he want to give this up and be happy, but at the cost of, you know, his city going back to the way it was before he became Batman? And also, you got this insane lunatic on the rise that he needs to take down. So I guess that would be a kind of a big part of his journey, is, you know, deciding what to do with that.
Yeah,
but
you have a lot of stuff going on in this movie. I think it's a reaction to terrorism, in a way. And there's been a lot of people who have interpreted it as, you know, in support of us, you know, going to war in Iraq, and some people have interpreted it as against it. But you have a lot of escalation within this movie, because, you know, Batman Begins, it ends with, you know, Jim Gordon going, you know, oh, if we start using Kevlar vests, they're going to start using Kevlar piercing rounds, and so on and so forth. So, you know, you have Batman starting to cross some of his lines to deal with the Joker. Like you have at the end, he builds the whole surveillance thing, which, you know, you can draw a lot of parallels to current day America there if you want to. But so yeah, you have a lot of stuff going on in this movie other than it just being a superhero movie.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying earlier that Batman Begins is kind of the most Batman of all the films, because he does kind of abandon this comic booky nature in favor of these bigger themes. And it you know, for this trilogy, you know, I'm fine with it. I really enjoy these movies and kind of the questions it brings up. You have, you know, you were mentioning the war with Iraq and everything. That's a lot of what people think this particular Joker's origin comes from, is that he was a soldier in one of these wars, and he came back, and this is the outlook he had on life after, which I think a lot of people take it from that line where he's in the hospital and he's just like, you know, you kill like hundreds of guys and it's all according to plan, but you do this one thing and people go insane because they don't know what's going to happen, stuff like that.
Yeah, you actually only see the Joker with like out his makeup on for like a brief moment in the movie.
Yeah,
and he
like
does
a frame.
Yeah, he does have the scars still.
Yeah, he has the scars, but the thing is, you don't know, and we talked about this before, kind of how it harkens back to the Killing Joke origin, is you don't necessarily know how he got him, because he always has a different story every time he interacts with someone. And yeah, you get the sense of this guy who's just, he has this training, you know, he knows how to make bombs like, you know, nothing. He is trained in close combat, he's got all the knives and everything, but you don't know what he has been through. You just get a sense that it's been, you know, some pretty serious shit. And he's unstable, but he's also still like insanely smart. Like he knows everything he's doing, and he's committed to it. And it's the perfect match for this Batman, he's still kind of new. You know, he's only, like you said, it's only been a few, you know, months to a year, so he's still kind of new at the whole thing. But he obviously should be more experienced than this guy who just showed up. But Joker's usually one step ahead of him. Even just like down to he's got in on the cops and everything. He's got him on his, you know, his payroll, and that's how Rachel ends up getting killed and gives birth to Harvey Dent's Two-Face, which is a really just it's a sad scene to watch. I didn't necessarily care for that character, but I did care what was happening to Harvey. You know, Aaron Eckhart acts the heck out of this role.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the CGI on Two-Face? Like,
I think it holds up.
Yeah, it looks good, like from just a visual point, I guess. But I guess some of how it, like when he's talking, it looks a little off. I don't think he would be able to like his voice should be all messed up, and I don't know.
Oh yeah. I get what you're saying. Like if this was to actually happen to a person, then it wouldn't. You know, the way he's able to, you know, just walk around and everything is fine. I think for this movie and still kind of keeping this, you know, this feel of what Two-Face is supposed to be, it works really well. You know, there's a scene where in the bar he confronts that one guy trying to track down who, you know, kidnapped Rachel, which of the cops is in on it and everything. He takes a drink, and like it doesn't necessarily look great, but it's cool to just, you know, see the alcohol just go through his mouth and everything and end up on his jacket. And it also just like I'm sure like he has to be in insane amounts of pain. He just doesn't care. There's a line that Gordon says where he visits him in the hospital, and it's just like, we hear you're refusing skin grafts. He's given up on everything. This man who fought for the good of the city, he lost the love of his life, and he was there to, he heard it. Like, he heard her die, and it broke him, and he's just trying to do what's fair, and he ends up becoming a really just interesting villain in a short amount of time. It's odd that he never really did anything after those movies. Like, you really don't see Aaron Eckhart in anything anymore.
Thank you for smoking. Hello? It was a movie.
What? Was that a movie?
Yes.
I don't know. He's in Battle LA, which wasn't a good movie, apparently. But, yeah, you just, like I said, you don't really see him in anything. And that's kind of sad, because I really enjoyed his portrayal as Two-Face. It's definitely a lot better than Tommy Lee Jones. I also, kind of going back to Two-Face, I liked his look. Like, it wasn't just a straight cut down the middle suit. It was just, I guess he just, like, got the same suit that he wore that night and just put it on, because you could see it's kind of burned down.
Yeah.
And he gets more stuff on it later down the road as he keeps, kind of going through. And it's just like, that's how it became the way it was. It's just, he just didn't care anymore. So yeah, really, really great and unexpected villain to throw in there. A lot of these superhero movies make the mistake of having too many villains and not using them right. I think this was well played. You said we're not going to see the Joker anymore, or we didn't get to see the Joker anymore after those movies?
Well, supposedly there was a plan to see him in Dark Knight Rises before Heath Ledger passed away. Actually, if you the novelization of The Dark Knight Rises has a moment with him where he, like, escapes from Arkham and just disappears, something like that.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. It's just like when Bane breaks everybody out, he just kind of walks away.
I mean, yeah, it's sad that we never got to see that character again, but at the same time, it's just, we'll always have just this one amazing performance, just to go back to.
Yeah, and in fact, I've got an amazing fact for it, if you're willing to hear it, Sean.
Let's hear it.
This was the first comic book movie to give an actor an Oscar for acting. No special effects, no sound design, just straight up Best Actor award for Heath Ledger, supporting actor.
Posthumously, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I think, I think he deserved it. He really he brought something new to this role that we hadn't seen before. Because Jack Nicholson was good, and for the time, but it was more kind of closer to what Cesar Romero's portrayal of the Joker was in the '66 series. This was just something completely different, and it worked for the movie and the story they were trying to tell. And it's just a great Joker portrayal.
Now, this movie does have the really dumb scene where Batman gets a fingerprint off of a bullet.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily I don't like the cell phone thing either, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, the thing about the bullet is, I'm not sure if anybody's ever explained how guns work to Christopher Nolan. You don't actually touch the bullets, you touch the casings, so there would be, no reason for a fingerprint to be on the actual bullet. Also, even if there was, the fingerprint would be destroyed. I don't care what kind of machine you have, as soon as that bullet hits something, it's gone.
So take that, Christopher Nolan.
But yeah, I mean that's one complaint I have for this trilogy in general, is we don't see the detective side of Batman that much, and when we do, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, and that's kind of just been a thing throughout most of these movies. Is we kind of put the detective stuff second, and just him beating up criminals first, which is works as well.
But hey, the tumbler was really great.
I love the tumbler. I also love the little motorcycle that comes out one of the side wheels of the tumbler.
There's that little where it flips him over and turns him around. It's great.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was interesting to see him bring these cars, these devices, and these characters to his universe that he created, and give a realistic twist on it. because it's interesting to see how he is going to do it, or if he's just not going to do it at all.
And a lot of this, a lot of the stuff they actually did, like that scene where the truck is flipped over. They actually did that.
That's right, they did. The huge semi truck that the Joker's driving. Yeah, that's insane.
I'm not sure if it was that scene. Unfortunately, there was an extra that was killed in this movie. It might have been that scene where he was killed.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That was I think it may not be now, but at the time that was the largest truck flip or vehicle flip in cinema at the time.
Huh.
Until Terminator Genesis. No, wait, that's CGI. I don't know. But yeah, it's a really good film. I love going back and watching this. This is probably the one I've seen the most, like everybody else. But this was a great continuation of the Batman story we got with Batman Begins, and then we got another movie, Sean.
The Dark Knight Rises, 2012.
Yeah, we can talk about that. So the theme for this one, as I said, they all have a one-word theme. What do you think this one was, Sean? Just off the top of your head. Give me a word, any word.
Oh, Dark Knight Rises theme. Something probably to do with the anarchy or socialism or...
No, you're thinking too big, Sean. Just spell it out for you. It's pain.
Okay.
So we have fear, chaos, and then to just ring it all out, or end it all out, we have pain. There's a lot of pain in this film. There's a lot of painful voices. There's a lot of...
So I'm guessing you don't care for this movie too much.
The thing is about this movie, I don't hate it by any means. I think it's a fine way to kind of cap off this trilogy. It's really long.
It's a long movie,
and I don't have a problem with that. If the story's there to keep me involved and everything. It's just there's a lot of scenes that just don't need to be in this film. This story goes over months and months, and at points I felt like I was watching this movie for months and months.
So yeah, when I saw this movie for the first time, I had a very full bladder at the end of it. And then when I walked out rushing to the bathroom, everybody else apparently had a full bladder because there's a huge line like coming out of the bathroom. So I had to drive home quickly.
A full line at the men's bathroom? That's unheard of.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, so the thing is with this movie, obviously it wasn't put in a good spot with everything that happened with Heath Ledger and how great his performance was. It had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
And whatever it was going to do wasn't going to be as great. Then there's some tragedy mixed in with this film as well. This was when the shooting in Colorado happened, was at the premiere of this film. And I think that ruined midnight showings for everybody.
Yeah, which has been both good and bad in terms of... Obviously, that's bad that people got shot and killed. That's terrible. But in terms of, I don't have to go to see stuff at midnight anymore. But at the same time, everybody else doesn't have to go. So now, premiere nights are just crowded.
Yeah, you're quite conflicted.
Which, just to get off topic, that makes no sense to me. In terms of, well, if we move the premiere up earlier in the day, nobody would shoot it up then. Because if somebody's crazy enough to shoot it up at midnight, there's nobody that's crazy enough to shoot it up at 7 p.m. It's like, what?
Yeah, I guess because obviously it was a big tragedy.
Yeah.
And so I guess they felt the need to take an action, and that's the only thing they could come up with. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of theater shootings since then. But
it was one of those dumb things that just makes people feel safe without actually doing anything. Like the TSA. Yeah, I called you out.
Thanks for listening, by the way. But yeah, that was a weird day. I think I didn't go see the midnight showing of this film. I was planning on seeing it the next day, and I was driving on the way back home from somewhere, and I just had the radio on in the morning, and they just started talking about the shooting, and I was just first of all, I was confused because it was really early in the morning, and then I was even more confused that something like that could happen. The movie should be an experience that people look forward to and can enjoy. And that's just what happened is just awful. And then people blamed it. It's, it never fails that people are going to blame it on the movie itself. Because it's like, oh, the guy dyed his hair red like the Joker, so obviously that the Dark Knight caused him to do that. Like, no, he would have done it anyway. And like I said, it ruins the whole thing for everybody. But I think everyone handled it pretty well. At the time, Christopher Nolan and the cast canceled premieres over in France, I think, to in memory of the people who were killed. So yeah, and this movie still made a crap ton of money regardless. Like, I think it hit over $1 billion.
Yeah, $1 billion
Dark Knight.
85 million, yeah.
Yeah. And the movie's not, kind of going back to it, I guess. The movie's not bad. It carries over. It's been a lot longer since The Dark Knight, I think. In this one, he's
been 8 years.
Been gone for 8 years, yeah. And it was interesting to see, just out of the beginning, see what kind of toll that life took on him. His knees are just shot, and he has to walk around with a cane, and he's got nasty facial hair. So that was kind of something I really hadn't seen with Batman before that I enjoyed. And the thing is about Bane, Tom Hardy's performance, it's so for me. I don't think I hate it as much as other people do. I think the voice is ridiculous, but it was just something he did. At least in this movie, I could understand him, unlike in The Revenant. But
what ruins this movie for me, in terms of at least Bane anyway?
That he's not using the Venom?
No, the twist at the end that Talia al Ghul is actually behind all of this. It completely ruins Bane as a character, because Bane is supposed to be this, he's supposed to be this very intelligent man that, he's one of the few villains where, like, his brawn is met with his brain. And they just ruin it there when they do that.
Yeah, and throughout the whole movie, you actually kind of, you see him as that character, because he's kind of the one who even went farther than the Joker and kind of won. Yeah. He imprisons the cops in the sewers and gives the city back to the people, the really bad people. He ruins that football stadium, unfortunately. I mean, I just got that huge ESPN package deal that year with Gotham Sports at the front. So, what are you going to do? Maybe they're still playing hockey at least. Doesn't Gotham have an actual hockey team or something?
I mean, they probably do in the comics.
Yeah, that's what I think they do.
I thought, because there's an actual Gotham in real life.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, but like I said, Bane's intro is just as, I think it's interesting. Not quite as interesting as the Joker, but it was kind of cool to see him take that plane, and then I think he puts the hand on the guy, and just like, you feel so weak, don't you?
Like, what if I took that off? Would it hurt? For you.
For you. And his take on the character is different. I don't like that he doesn't have Venom. I don't know why he didn't just give him that, because that could still kind of work in his this universe he set. It's just like a really advanced form of steroids. It works.
And boy, do they work.
But, it's crazy just to see how much muscle Tom Hardy put on for this role. I think he's like 30 pounds of straight muscle.
Let's do the rest of this podcast in Bane's voice. So, Snoop.
We're not doing that. How'd you feel about the mask thing? How it's like it's morphine or whatever, and if you take it off him, he's just gonna die because he got beat up really hard.
It's an interesting concept, I guess.
It's an interesting enough concept, but I think how he got there it doesn't make sense. He got beat up really hard in a pit. Yeah. How come? Like, why does he constantly feel pain and he needs this weird mask on to? Surely there's a better system to get to that point or to help him out with that. It's just, I don't know. I just, like I said, it's not enough to ruin the movie for me. I just think it was kind of a missed opportunity for that character. It's definitely not as bad as the last Bane we got in the live action stuff.
So, you feel about the whole Blake thing? Robin Blake?
I really don't like it.
Me neither.
I think that's kind of like, again, like Nolan felt the need in this movie to throw in these little twists or nods and they don't necessarily work because, again, it's just kind of like a throwaway thing. Like, oh, he's Robin, what was it, Robin Blake, or John Blake is his real name, his full name?
Yeah, no, I think it's Robin John Blake, because that woman asked him at the end, why don't you go by your first name, Robin? And everybody in the audience gasped. And I went,
why don't you shut up, secretary lady? I do what I want.
And I went, shut up, everybody.
Yeah, and I guess also, like I said, this is a long movie, and it does go on. Like, I feel the length of this movie after a while. So at that point, I just didn't care when that came up. I get it, how it works, because he was helping him out the whole time, and he's pretty much his sidekick. But at the same time, why does the sidekick have to be in his 30s?
Yeah, and I don't buy the whole thing with how he figures out who Batman is. It's like, you came to the orphanage, Bruce Wayne, and you looked kind of sad. You were smiling, but you looked kind of sad. And I know what sadness feels like, because I'm also sad, and I have to mask the sadness, and we're all just sad. You're Batman, by the way. I didn't buy that.
Yeah, it was very forced, and I guess they just wanted to have someone there who already, that could help him out, that knew his identity, but still just have a scene maybe where, Blake goes out on his own and Batman ends up saving him, and they kind of have a heart-to-heart, and he reveals his identity to him. That would have worked a lot better. But then again, this movie was already really long, so maybe that's why they didn't do it. And there's a lot going on. I don't necessarily know why they felt the need to have this character, because they already had a character. The stuff that he did could have been done by Jim Gordon.
True.
It's just, he just kind of gets taken down for the count, and he has to act the hell out of that hospital bed. And again, like, you don't have that scene. You don't necessarily need to have, just have Jim Gordon in the game, and he has to fight against, like, the city being taken over, and all the other cops are maybe put down there in the sewer the same way. So you don't need this character, and we don't really care about him anyway. I guess him being, technically Robin was supposed to make us care about him and make sense for the ending where he is supposed, he's supposed to take over as Batman, but it just doesn't work. And, he's not the only character we're supposed to focus on. We got Bane already, we talked about, but we also have Catwoman in the mix this time as well.
Played by the lovely Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
My future wife.
You wish. I think originally she was campaigning for the role of Felicia Hardy in one of the many Spider-Man films we've gotten, and eventually they were just like, hey, do you want to play this woman in a cat suit? She's like, well, I've already got my cat suit at home, so sure. But I think she did fine as Catwoman. I actually kind of liked her.
Yeah, she was good.
It fits into this world that Nolan built, and even just like, she's got the ears, but they also double as the goggles that she uses to break into stuff. That's a cool little thing to throw in there, and it makes sense because obviously having this woman who just is a cat burglar who's also obsessed with cats wouldn't work in these movies. And I like that they still find time to cover this aspect of Selena Kyle's, to her heart, a good person. She's just been through some rough times, and this is kind of how she grew up to deal with it. But she's also giving back, Sean, just like your regular Robin Hood. She looks out for that one girl who I don't remember. What's her name?
Here's a fun fact. You remember when Robin Hood was jumping up and down on Oprah's couch?
I feel like we're mixing up our facts here, but I'll go, sure.
That actually did happen.
The Fox one?
Robin Hood. Anyway.
who really let this go out of hand at this point. So, Sean, what was the story of this film?
I don't know. Batman, he's sad. Bruce Wayne, he's like, I've got nothing left, just this mansion and Alfred.
And I sent him to go get razors years ago, and he still hasn't come back.
And Catwoman, she knocks that crutch out of his way. He's like, I don't care if you're a Batman, get out of here. But then, Bane shows up. But then, Talia al Ghul shows up. Okay. And they have some sexy sex, her and Batman.
Yeah, well, she's not Talia al Ghul at that point.
No.
nameless
She's
councilman.
she's Miranda
lady.
Tate is her name.
Yeah.
But then she is Talia al Ghul. But then Batman kills her. But then Batman's in Italy. But then John Blake is now Batman.
we think.
So
What if he wasn't? Well, because we see him. The last thing we see is he gets on that little elevator lift thing, and it lifts him up. What if that was like? What if that was the building itself, and he was on the roof, and it just keeps rising, and he gets crushed by those rocks up top?
There's a post credit scene where he like looks at the Batman suit and he just stares at it and he goes, nah.
And then a small boy maybe wanders in and steals the hubcaps off of the Batmobile, the tumbler, and his name is Jason Todd.
And then John Blake beats him up with a crowbar.
God, so many Easter eggs we missed. Why didn't we watch that post-credits scene? Because the movie went on for 6 months. He goes away for 6 months.
Yeah, he's in that pit for a while.
Yeah, and I think it's my biggest problem with the movie right there is the whole pit thing. Like, I get the whole point of it. I get, he's supposed to, come out on the other side stronger and
it's
everything.
It's supposed to be a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor in a big hole. But the thing is with that is that's not how you fix a broken back. First of all, and second, I think it's like the first time he attempts to get out of there, he falls and falls like 20 or 40 or 30 feet, I don't know, and the rope snaps and he's just hanging around there. That certainly would have broken his back again.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff about the pit that if you apply logic to it doesn't make sense. Like, who's feeding these people?
I assume every now and again someone in that, because there's I think there's a building nearby, some buildings nearby. Someone's job is just to come over there and maybe throw a fish or two in the pit.
Well, what about people just walking by? Because they're literally just at the bottom of this giant hole, basically. Does nobody ever just walk by and look down there and see 20 people down there?
I'm sure they wave at least. But yeah, and the whole thing with he rallies the troops that are still around to fight Bane's people. That's not a fair fight because, well, it shouldn't be a fair fight because all those people on Bane's side have guns. The cops have no guns, but for some reason, the bad guys don't choose not to use their guns. They just run towards them. And there's some very bad fights in this movie in general. Like the final fight between Batman and Bane it's not good. Yeah, well, it also kind of just goes against that whole sequence. The whole act just kind of goes against the character of Batman to me. Is have Catwoman in there to help you out with whatever she did. That makes sense. But the whole thing with the cops is just kind of I don't necessarily know why that was in there. I would have kind of expected maybe Batman to come up with a way to keep all the henchmen busy, and then he gets Bane in that room one-on-one and kind of gets his groove back. Maybe throws a batarang or two. But yeah, the fight I guess where Catwoman tricks him into fighting Bane the first time, that was actually pretty solid. And of course we get the classic bat break that everyone loves.
Yeah. And you have some good dialogue from Bane in that. The darkness adopted you, but I was born into it. Great impression. Yeah. Great impression, Sean.
Spot on, Sean. And not just him, but there's a lot of just cool lines in there. I think when Batman comes back that first time, they have that cop say to the his partner or the rookie, he's just you're in for a show tonight or something, which is that line from The Dark Knight Returns is really cool. So there's stuff in here. This movie's not bad by any means to me. It's definitely the weakest of the three, and I do find it hard to go back to because it is a little bit of a slog.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't obviously you don't really like the whole Talia.
No. Well, how do you feel about just Marion Cotillard, however you say her name?
Cotillard, I guess.
How do you feel about her in general in this?
Yeah, well, obviously Nolan wanted her in there. I guess she would have been in Inception before this, right? As a cop's wife. And he made room, just throwing out some more facts for you, Sean. I know how much you love them. He made room to have her in this film because at the time she was pregnant. So he I think it's like a month after she gave birth, she went straight into filming her scenes for this movie. But so he obviously wanted her for a reason. I think she's a good actress. I enjoy seeing her on screen. It was kind of a weird thing to throw in there because, like you said, it does take a lot away from the character of Bane that we had been watching this whole time. He was just kind of demoted to this loyal henchman almost, and even his death is just complete garbage. He gets shot with the whatever the bat bike or whatever it is called, and that's it. They never bring it up again. They never show him again. He just gets killed by that cannon by Catwoman, and it's just like...
This movie also continues the tradition of Batman talking about how he doesn't kill, but ending the movie with killing somebody.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't think that truck flip was going to kill her. She dies really badly. I will say that.
No, that's a bad scene right there.
That is, yeah, she's just kind of like... She gives her last little... Yeah. And I just... It's whatever. I don't know. I don't really think they needed that part. Obviously the bomb was still gonna. I guess they only kept her there to just say like, "Hey, the bomb's gonna go off in a second anyway." So ha ha ha.
So him escaping the bomb at the end.
It shouldn't work. Yeah, the thing is, I really enjoy the Tumbler in The Dark Knight. Yeah. I don't like this version of the Batwing.
It's just called the Bat. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Obviously it's it's supposed to look the same, and I don't know, how's that thing work? That's odd technology that he's building in that city. But yeah, it's just, in a way, I like this aspect of they originally made that to do some good for the city, and they took that and turned it around. But that's how do you go from this purifies the water supply to this is technically a nuclear bomb? Like, that shouldn't be up to code, I imagine. But
I'm beginning to think Christopher Nolan is not a scientist.
Yeah, there's some problems like that in Interstellar as well.
No.
Yeah, I love Nolan, but he has this tendency to throw in a thing that just kind of it throws everything else kind of out of whack because you're just trying to figure out how this should work or fit into it, and I don't know. I think it's more of what it's supposed to do for the character of Batman than it is like actually, what it is. Like, it's his last act, and he, as far as we know, and at first he's I'm gonna do this for the city, and I'll die, and this is what I'm here for. But he's not gonna die anyway because he's all sneaky about it. He fixed that autopilot, so I don't understand what the real risk was.
Yeah.
He was just kind of like, hey, I can maybe take a sweet vacay if I make everyone think I'm dead. Like, no, just go on a sweet vacay. It's fine. Yeah. All right. Did you like he got his happy ending at least?
Yeah, I mean, Batman stuff usually doesn't end on a happy note, so that was kind of nice, I guess.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything I really expected out of Nolan to do. Not that I'm saying he can't do it. I just, the way the tones of these films were, I didn't really think he was gonna, he was gonna get his happy ending. And it was a cool little setup they had, with Alfred talking to him about like, he's like, this is what I always wanted for you. And so in a way, Alfred kind of got the ending he deserved as well. He gave that solid head nod at the end. And it's like that whole last scene's pretty good. I enjoy it. I think to get, because we knew this was going to be the last one, I think it's a proper send-off for all the main characters we've been watching.
Okay.
Just, yeah. One more thing, how'd you necessarily feel about the relationship between Talia and Bane? Because that was kind of a big part of it.
It was kind of odd. Like, I mean, I guess it's just partly because we didn't see enough of it when they're in the pit. I guess he kind of comes to care for her at some point, but we don't see it. And then he just does whatever, she wants him to. Like, why?
Yeah, I guess they kind of felt this devotion to each other because obviously she was just born in there, and I I guess even, whatever he did to end up in that pit, he was kind of a good person at heart when it came to, he's like, this is just a child, she doesn't deserve this, so I'm going to look out for her. But don't all the criminals beat him up, the other criminals in the pit? Don't they, just beat the shit out of him for some reason?
They pick up Talia as a child, and they beat him up with her. I think is how it happens.
Hit him right
hit
him right in the mouth.
I guess it's like I said. You don't see. This movie needed another 30 minutes to explain their relationship.
But at the same time, there's some stuff that needed to be cut out. Yeah, the action in here is probably the weakest for me. There's a lot of weird scenes.
There's some bad action. Just
it's that scene that sticks with me is where he's going in the sewer. And that guy's shooting at him, and in between muzzle flashes, you see him jumping to the side to dodge bullets.
Yeah.
That shouldn't... It's very odd, and it shouldn't even work. But overall, I think this is a really good trilogy, and it definitely kicked superhero movies. It gave them kind of like this rebirth that they kind of needed, because we had so many bad ones before it, and a lot of people didn't want to make them anymore.
Let me ask you a tough question here. Which is better, the Dark Knight trilogy or the Captain America trilogy?
Oh, that is a really tough question. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say the Captain America trilogy, just because I enjoy Batman Begins a lot. I enjoy the Dark Knight. I'm okay with the Dark Knight Rises. I think what I really enjoy about Captain America as a trilogy is that it's really just it's gone better pretty much with the Winter Soldier and Civil War. You could argue are one's better than the other, but they're both at least on par for me. But you see some really good character growth for Captain America. I think one of the bigger flaws for the Dark Knight trilogy is as they go on, Batman stuff kind of takes a backseat to the rest of the cast. Because Joker obviously stole the show in the Dark Knight, and there's a lot more characters in the Dark Knight Rises that we are supposed to focus on, with Bane and Catwoman as well, and then the John Blake guy, Robin thing that we see. So yeah, I think those kind of the Captain America movies do more for the character of Captain America, whereas the Dark Knight trilogy doesn't do a lot for Batman once you get in some of these other villains and stuff. What about you?
I think out of all of them, I think The Dark Knight is probably the best out of the 6 of the movies. So it has that going for it. But Winter Soldier and Civil War are both really good. Yeah, I think they might edge out the trilogy as a whole because of that.
Yeah, and it's fun to see, we can have a movie as good as they are and get more of these comic book tropes in there. Whereas, with The Dark Knight, it focuses a lot more on being as realistic as it can be.
Yeah.
And that's fine for what it is. It works in that trilogy. But we obviously want to see more wackier comic book stuff pop up.
I want to see my Kite Man.
Oh, I love a good Kite Man. Maybe paired up with a Condiment King or two.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Oh, you know what I really want, though? Obviously, I want the Penny Plunderer. That'll be my favorite Batman movie when it throws in the Penny Plunderer.
Need a trilogy about that?
I just want to see Batman run away from a giant penny. That's all I want in my
Batman,
life.
just run to the side. No, I gotta keep running forward from this penny.
He's like, I just watched Prometheus. This is all I know how to do. It's great. But yeah, overall, really solid movies. I'm always game to watch them again every now, whenever people bring it up. See what Christian Bale's doing these days. He's okay in those things too. Sometimes he's really fat. Sometimes he's really skinny. In this, he's just Batman. Yep. Good stuff, Sean. Good stuff. Well, we've talked about The Dark Knight loads of times. We've given out all the facts that I can find that are interesting. There's my phone. I'll get it later. Let's do one more segment before we call it a late night.
Yeah, it's going to be a long episode.
Oh, shit, it is. All right. Well, hopefully the people are willing to stick with us. And if they're not, I understand. So, Sean, we got our famous segment. Check it out.
Check it out.
That thing, yeah, where we check out stuff we've been reading, watching, or playing. And we let you guys know whether or not it's worth your time. So, Sean, what's one thing this week you've been checking out?
Well, I'm really behind on this, but I finally watched the movie Get Out.
You finally watched that Get Out movie that everybody went nuts over. Yeah, I'm still behind on it. I had a chance to go see it, actually, but I think my friends invited me, and I fell asleep right before, and they called me and wondered where I was at, so I was obviously not going to make it. But, yeah, I heard it's great.
Yeah, it is. It's really good.
I don't know the actor's name. I know Jordan Peele is the director. You know, he's gotten a lot of...
It's Daniel Kuwait. He has an odd last name.
Yeah, he was in an episode of Black Mirror as well. Yeah. Really good episode. That's the one where the soldier sees those, like, what do they call them?
Cockroaches, I think.
Roaches, yeah, they call them roaches. Yeah, so, yeah, how'd you feel about it? I'm interested to hear your opinion.
It's really good. I guess I won't give away too much of the plot, but, yeah, it's kind of a modern take on racism, kind of the idea that, you know, this is 2017, so racism is in your face for better or worse. This idea of, you know, he goes into this neighborhood, I'll just say, where he has all these white people that are just complimenting him oddly on being black. And it's odd. And it turns, you know, it's a horror movie, so there's something terrible that happens as it goes on. But, yeah, it's interesting how this kind of, I guess we'll just say this white liberal America that's popped up over the past few decades sometimes makes racism worse than it is, like, has made it worse than it was. Just this idea of just constantly, you know, well, we got to mention this and this and this. Like, no, just treat me like, you know, I guess the message is just treat, you know, everybody like they're a person, not constantly shoving stuff into people's throats.
Yeah, I guess, like, this, it's almost like they kind of they want to mean well, but honestly, it shouldn't even be mentioned at all, because we're all just people, and that's how we should be treated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so, you know, Jordan Peele directed this. I've heard that it's interesting because it's a mix of horror and comedy that I don't really see.
There's a good bit of, like, a lot of it's, like, if I explain the actual plot of the movie to you, you'd probably laugh, but they play it straight, but at the same time, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, isn't it like, basically, he dates this girl, and she's like, you know, let me introduce him to my parents, and he goes with her to this neighborhood that's the one you described, and don't they hypnotize him or something?
Yeah.
And I think he runs straight at himself and then dips to the right. I don't know, a lot of people do it on the internet now.
No, that doesn't happen. I know what scene you're talking about, but it doesn't happen that way.
Okay. I just see a lot of people running into a camera and then cutting to the left or right, and they're like, this is Get Out. Like, huh. And this is a movie that's made millions of dollars.
Yeah, it made, I think, $257 million off of a budget of $4.5 million. So,
that's insane. Yeah, Jordan Peele, he recently signed a first-look deal with Universal after this, so now it's rumored that, it was rumored at one point he was going to do Akira, but he obviously, you know, he turned that down. He's just like, I don't think anyone can make that movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Universal Monsters movies they've been kicked off. We could have talked about that this week, but let's be honest, we didn't care.
And it is kicked off bad from what I hear.
Yeah, I think it'll make enough money to continue doing them. But, you know, they've talked about doing some of these titles like, you know, the lesser-known ones, you know, maybe A Creature from the Black Lagoon or An Invisible Man, stuff like that, for getting these people who made this movie to do them. And, you know, maybe he might eventually take on one of those. So, yeah, good for him, obviously, and, you know, good for everybody involved with this project. It's always interesting to see a movie like this, an original idea, be well received. I'd like to see more of it instead of 5 or 6 Johnny Depp sequels a year. But, yeah, I'll probably check it out. You should give it to me, Sean. Just let me borrow it.
Okay, it'll be in your mail. Just keep checking that box.
Yeah, will you at least put the flag up so I know?
Man, I gotta do everything, don't I?
I'd appreciate you if you did. Well, Sean, that sounds really solid. I'll definitely, I'll give it a go. It'll fit right in with some of these other movies I've been watching. Specifically, one I watched was We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Good
with,
movie.
Some Tilda. Yeah, it's really good. It's with Tilda Swinton and Ezra Miller. Even got John C. Reilly in there as well. And it's a good movie, but it's a pretty fucked up movie as well.
Yeah.
This movie is it's, you know, I think it recently got put on Netflix, or at least to my knowledge, but it was made back in 2011. So kind of right around the time that Ezra Miller did Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is another good film I enjoy. But it's a lot more artsy, and he's definitely a lot more happy-go-lucky character in that. So I was interested to see kind of what he would bring to this, and I don't necessarily care for him as the Flash. You know, maybe I'll change my mind when I get in the theater, but I can see why they kind of picked him for that role after seeing this project or Perks of Being a Wallflower. He is a really good actor. But yeah, I guess you've seen it as well, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's, for anyone who doesn't know, basically it's about Tilda Swinton was a writer and a traveler, and then she eventually meets John C. Reilly and falls in love, has a kid, all the things that you're supposed to do, and it kind of just takes away something from her life. You know, she's not able to travel or write anymore. She has to stay home and take care of the kid. And you can see, even as the movie goes, it's told in a non-linear fashion, which I think works really well for it. But you can see in these early scenes how she doesn't really want the kid. And I guess even the kid from, you know, when he's an infant catches on to that. And it's, you know, he's done, I don't really feel this is spoilers because it's kind of in the description and the beginning of the movie, is, you know, he's done something really awful, but you want to find out what that is and kind of how he got to that point. And it goes through various aspects of Kevin's life. Kevin's the child, and Ezra Miller's, you know, real just creepy and dark, but the child actor before him in particular is just, he scares me, Sean. Like, you might need to come over and just look out for me until I fall asleep.
You want me to get Alfred to tuck you into bed?
Maybe. Michael Caine's not busy, I don't think. But yeah, these performances are really strong in this movie, and I think that's what works for it, because it's a pretty low budget film as well. I don't think a lot went into this. It's kind of just shot in one house mostly, and I think, you know, there's maybe like a school setting, but other than that, it's just in this house, and him interacting with Tilda Swinton throughout his life, and how she's the only one that sees just how much of a psychopath this kid is. So yeah, definitely get into it, guys. Really, really scary stuff, really haunting stuff, Sean. Is Michael Caine on his way?
He just texted me. He'll be there any minute. Don't you worry, Snoop.
Well, Sean, I know that's a lie, because Michael Caine would never text. He'd write a letter and send it via Hawk. He's just that kind of guy. What are we talking about?
Check it out.
Oh yeah, what? You got one more thing?
Well, I did watch the first 2 episodes of the newest season of Orange Is the New Black.
Ooh,
yeah, it's good. I'm interested in where this is going. I know you haven't seen season 4 for some unthinkable reason.
It's not my fault.
Kind of is.
It isn't. I promised I'd watch it with our friend Caitlin Mobley. Shout out to Caitlin Mobley. But it's also her fault, so that's on you. Because I'm waiting for her to come over here so we can watch it.
Okay. Well, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so I don't have a lot to say, and I don't want to spoil stuff for you. So just to say there's a riot, and stuff is happening because of the riot.
How's the lesbianness?
They're still lesbianing about.
Good. It goes back and forth how far they want to take it sometimes. So, you know, you seem to like this season, but this is the 5th season. Do you think that we kind of need to be getting to an end point soon?
Well, they haven't mentioned it in a while, but they finally mentioned how long Piper's been in prison in, like, one of these episodes. She's been there for a year now, so she's only got 3 months left.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know when they plan on ending. I think they signed a contract up to 7 seasons, so they might end it there. I mean, assuming that that's where the show's going to end, with Piper getting out of jail after 15 months, they could keep it going after that, I guess. I don't know. Piper's not the main character anymore, so I guess they could keep it going. But yeah, you know, like I said, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, and I'm enjoying it. Could fall off a cliff like House of Cards did, so who knows?
Sounds pretty good, man. I promise I'll get into it. So stop yelling at me.
I've never yelled at you, Snoop.
Your voice is just so high right now.
I have used nothing but a tender voice.
Soothes me to sleep while Michael Caine tucks me in. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into it. And I'm looking forward to those inevitable spin-offs that are announced. You know, that good. I can't wait to see what Tasty's doing. I'm sure she's still around.
Yeah, she's still on the show.
Yeah. But, all right, well, you know, I've checked out a few more things, but honestly, I don't really have much to say about them because they weren't all great.
Well, that means you do have stuff to say about them.
Well, Sean, this is a really long episode, so I'm just gonna... All right, fine, just don't check out Mindhorn.
Okay.
Mindhorn. Don't check out Mindhorn. Good concept, not good movie.
I was thinking about watching that, actually, but okay.
Just nothing comes of it. Like, the concept's very interesting to me, you know, like, old... washed out actor who played a TV cop in I guess it was the 80s. They call him back to the place where, you know, that show was shot and shown and everything, and because only this like one guy will talk to him, and yeah. I was like, that's you know, the fictional character that he played, so that's all there. That's really interesting, but it's nothing. Okay. Nothing comes of it. It's just a dickhead who continues to be a dickhead to other people, and other people are tired of him. So, yeah. Mindhorn. Don't do it. But on that note, figure we can end the show right at 2 hours here. It's the least we could do for the people who stuck around. So, Sean, tell them the things.
Oh, my goodness. I always have to remember the things. Snoop, you are on the Twitter. You probably have a Twitter name. What is that name?
At Snoop_Lynch. Sean, you're also on the Twitter as @TheFirstSean.
Yes, I'm there. I do not look at the Twitter. I barely understand what the Twitter is, but I'm there.
Well, Sean, what do you look at?
Mostly just pictures of myself in a previous life. I was happier then. Things were more simple. You know, things really made sense. I came home to a loving family. We sang songs, Snoop. We sang songs every night while we gallivanted about the living room singing songs.
I was gonna say, funny enough, all those pictures were taken a week before we started this podcast.
If you want to send us a letter, please do so at theunnecessarygentlemen at gmail.com.
Yep, we'd love a letter. You know, just let us know, you know, how we're doing on the show, what you like, what you don't like. If you got any ideas for topics we could do, you know, send those. And they can find us elsewhere, Sean, on things. Where can they find us?
Oh, they can find us on SoundCloud, sometimes YouTube, iTunes. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe on the iTunes.
Yeah, we're also on Stitcher as well. Got us on there last week. So, yeah, definitely if you feel like it, go check out this episode again or any of our previous episodes, and join us next week, Sean, as we talk about a thing. I think maybe Baby Driver comes out next week or the week after. I'd like to review that.
Okay, I'm game for that.
Yeah, it looks really good. I love Edgar Wright's films, so keen on it. But if that isn't out next week, we'll, you know, do something else, or you guys can give us an idea for an episode. Like I said, let us know. theunnecessarygentlemen at gmail.com. But until then, next week, words, hold on. But until then, we will... God damn it.
No, keep it going.
I'll keep it in. Look forward to me messing up words next week, guys.
It's supposed to be my job.
Yeah, I know. Bye.
Bye.
That was really rough. 2 hours, and that's where I mess up. Oh, God.